Well, Bran, it's me, John Behavior. I bet you saw today that we finally addressed the 10th anniversary cake situation, huh? How are we feeling? Pretty good, right? Are you mad at me? No, Behavior. I'm not mad. No, please don't say it. Please don't. I'm just disappointed. Do you know how bad things have to be for the official company behind our game to be community noted on their official post, not once, but on 2 separate occasions? You know, one time maybe it's like an oopsie, maybe it's a mistake, but twice? Twice is not an oopsie. Twice is on purpose. You may be thinking, Bran, what are you ranting about? What are you worried about here? I'm referring to the great cake controversy that Behavior, for some reason, has started with our 10th anniversary event, where cakes, otherwise known as the Toothy Torts, at least for this year, the coveted anniversary blood point item, that's all you need to know, this has been nerfed into the ground in a multitude of ways. Behavior nerfed the Rarity, taking them from a cheap common item to an expensive, very rare item. The offerings weren't and still aren't appearing in Bloodwoods very commonly, making it to where even if they did revert it back to being a common offering, if they don't adjust the amount of times it actually shows up in Bloodwebs, then that kind of really doesn't matter. That's foreshadowing. And on top of that, the event mode itself isn't giving the same event mode blood points that it used to for doing like event gens, event hooks, that sort of thing. So we're just missing out on all those blood points. The TLDR here is that whether it be through the actual offerings themselves, or whether that be their rarity or lack of spawning, but also playing the event itself doesn't get you as much blood points as previous anniversary events and event modes in general for the most part, which also sucks. You might be wondering, considering that this is beginning to rightfully sound like this is one of the worst events that they've put on in recent memory, if not of all time, how would Behavior respond to this? This is where Behavior, for some reason, proudly stated that everything was quote-unquote working as intended, and everything is currently working as intended, meaning that everything they have done to nerf this year's event offering and the event blood points is in fact on purpose. This is not an oopsie, this is not a mistake, this is how they plan things to be. This is confirmation that this is an intentional choice to make the event overall less fun than previous years for seemingly no reason. And honestly, it really does seem to be for no reason, because I honestly struggle to find any sort of logic that would make sense as to why somebody would want to nerf the most anticipated event that happens yearly in this game. The only logic I could imagine them coming up with is that for some reason they're trying to suddenly quote-unquote balance the game by nerfing the blood point economy that is, you know, quote-unquote inflated during the anniversary events. The idea is that if there's not this big injection of blood points into the game through people using cakes and stacking cakes for the rest of the year, then players will have less access to really powerful add-ons, really powerful items, that sort of thing. They don't have access to the gameplay tools that they see a lot of veteran players use that win most of their games. So if we nerf the amount of blood points going into the game, then there will be less of those really strong items and less of those really strong add-ons. However, not only is this incredibly ridiculous as a concept, since part of the fun of events in Dead by Daylight is the new offerings, using them, doing the event mode activities for blood points, but this also doesn't really even accomplish the goal of trying to make sure there are less strong add-ons and strong items in the game of Dead by Daylight. Veteran players, likely the ones that they would want to target in this scenario, probably have been stacking up items and add-ons for years at this point, meaning that even if you suddenly do this, veterans are going to continue to run the busted strong stuff because they've had it stacked up for a very, very long time. They probably won't run out for years because they have such a backlog of items or add-ons, whatever happens to be. So in this scenario, who does this actually really affect? It affects casual players or the moderate playtime players who want to be able to stack the same cool items and add-ons that they see veteran players using, hence ruining their experience and not allowing them to get to the threshold of what a lot of veteran players have. So if that's really the logic behind why they're doing this, it's not going to hit the veteran players. It's just going to make the casual and moderate players angry and upset and essentially make everybody not happy all around. So if that's their logic as to why they're doing this, it's a terrible one, because it kind of leaves the people that they would want to hit the most unaffected, and the people that would want the items and add-ons hurting. just absolutely dunked on for like no reason. I do want to circle back around to the whole community note thing though, because Behavior has insisted on their social media that this event, the Black Banquet, is allowing for quote unquote slightly higher offering accrual than last year's event. which I'm sure you've probably already noticed, even if you're not somebody who's like way into the weeds with this game, that is kind of just a flat out lie. That's just like objectively not correct. They've tried to attempt to push this narrative once before, which also got corrected and quickly community noted on Twitter when they tried to claim this before, and it also got community noted again on their post that they made just now. It's very easy to pull up the proof too, so I'm not sure why they're going at it from this angle. There was one post I saw which very blatantly showed the amount of cakes that somebody got last year for prestiging a character and one they got for prestiging a character this year, and it's about like an 80 cake difference. It's so easy to prove because of the fact that you have so many players in your game. We all have either through anecdotal experience know that that's not true, or like in the case of what a lot of people are posting, have literal screenshot evidence of them getting less cakes or video evidence of them getting less cakes than they did last year. Like, this is so easy to prove, which makes this all the more puzzling that they're just assuming that we wouldn't be able to fact check them on this. Like, it's so easy. So I don't understand, because like the thought is like, okay, well maybe the post is only for casual players, but realistically the general audience is mostly the players that will be on DBD's Twitter or DBD's Insta or whatever it happens to be. We're the ones that will be able to most likely fact check them on this stuff, so I don't know what this post is for. But regardless, despite the fact that it is so easy to prove that this is just not correct, they are doubling down on it, which leads me to believe one of two things, neither of which is particularly a good look for behavior. Either A, they generally think that the cake accrual this year is better and their precious data is lying to them, again, by giving them some sort of false positive, which happens a lot, which is why we keep telling them, stop only reading the numbers. As somebody who had to teach statistics at one point, it matters how you interpret the data. You can't just look at the flat numbers because the flat numbers don't tell the whole story. You got to interpret the numbers. So if this is another one of those situations, which you are unfortunately known for, where you just look at the number and go, yeah, that's what that means, and you don't really interpret it, this could be leading you to a false positive in which you're being extremely stubborn and doubling down on, even though you're not correct. Or B, which is the worst one in this scenario, they know they're not correct on this, but like I said, because they want to nerf events overall, we'll get to that. They admitted to that, by the way. Spoilers. There's no acceptable way to break that news to us, so we're just going to skirt around it instead and just go, no, it's working intended. Yeah, you're getting the same amount. Actually, you're getting more. Yeah. Sure. Just thinking we'll just buy it, which is really weird. Either way, both of these are extremely concerning stances for behavior to take. At best, it's an extreme lack of awareness followed by stubbornness, or it's outright dishonesty to try and prove a point. Not really a good pick no matter which way they go. I also really don't like the way they've gone about like quote unquote disproving this, because they like to say, well, everything's working as intended. They love to say that, not only with this situation, but many others. They like to say, well, it's working as intended. It's an excuse they've used a lot. The thing is, if working as intended is awful and unhealthy for either the game or the community, then frankly, it doesn't matter if it's working as intended. Sure, it's working as you wanted it to, but if it's hurting the game or the community, then working as intended is a bad thing. It is not a proper defense. This is a card they like to pull over and over and over. It's working as intended. But no, if something's bad, regardless of if it's on purpose or not, it's still bad. So please stop waving this statement around or putting this big impenetrable shield up that you think it is of, oh, well, it's working as intended, guys, because we see right through it for what it is. An excuse. Another thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way about this update that they gave us is that they tied together the new quote-unquote legacy outfits for Dwight and Trapper. Instead of being gold and crispy and sparkly, they're red and sparkly. And while they don't directly say this, so I can only go so far with this point, it seems that they're trying to imply that they're giving these rare event outfits to us as part of like an apology for the situation. The problem with that is that leakers found these outfits in the files like months ago, and I've been theorizing, what are these for? Is there going to be a new legacy rollout? Are all the characters that are original going to get new legacy fits? This has already been something that if you are part of the leaks community, you've already known this has been coming for a while. So if you're trying to, I don't know, pull the bag over our head and go, see, look, you're getting 2 new fits. We're sorry. We already knew those were coming, so Once again, like I said before, it might work if this was, sent to like the casual community who doesn't really pay attention to DBD socials. Sure, maybe you could do that. But once again, if your social media posts usually go to the general community who are really tapped in to those sorts of things. So I hope that wasn't the intention with just throwing that at the end of this big apology post that really wasn't an apology and more of you just going, well, that sucks, but it's going to stay this way. But either way, I really hope you weren't implying that you're giving these to us as part of the apology, because we knew those were coming. So that kind of appears to be a little dishonest. Another funny thing that I want to point out, just as a very brief aside, the big like community participation award thing that we get for doing the event stuff that appears in every event mode. It's like that little challenge that's at the top of the banquet, of the Black Banquet event challenges. We're nowhere near close to hitting that, by the way, which also says something. But the reward I wanted to point out is not nearly as much as literally your daily login rewards. So if we do get that, it's like, well, I'm getting that just by that and more just by logging in and playing the game. So what's the point of that? What's also funny is that in this post they are reducing the rarity down from very rare back to common. So they finally broke in that regard. So that's nice. But like I notated at the beginning of this video, if the amount of times that it's appearing in the blood web is the same, then realistically all that affects is our ability to go into the next blood web and spend more blood points. Realistically, if the spawn rate is the same, it's cheaper to get them, but you're not realistically getting more of them. So it doesn't really actually address the problem very much. And I think this is very much by design, based on kind of the stubborn doubling down of this entire social media message that they kind of want it to be that way. And that's to speak about the elephant in the room. That's all backed up by the fact that the event mode itself is probably the worst event they've come up with ever. Sure, I don't hate it as much personally as a lot of other people do, but that's for two reasons. First, I actually like trying to throw the little poison thing and trying to do weird and cool shots with it, which because that's just kind of the kind of player I am. Most people just back rev you and throw it straight at you and get free value. I understand that, so I am an outlier in that regard. But also, the second much darker reason that I don't mind the event mode that much is because, frankly, the standard 4-view mode is also similar levels of fucking bullshit that the event mode is. It's really not that different. Like there's constant insta heals for the entire group of 4 survivors in the event mode, but realistically with stuff like Resurgence, like people come off hook and are healed instantly in standard mode too. It's just not all 4 of them at the same time. When survivors eat a little banquet plate and zoom across the map, people are already doing that in standard mode with Sprint Burst Vigil and basically having access to that anyway. Gens are going fast because things like Hyperfocus Stakeout, despite being issues for literal years, have not been touched because they just don't want to at this point. There's really no other way around it. They just don't see it as an issue if they haven't changed it by now. Like, my point being, if I'm getting a little too rambly, is that, like, realistically, the Black Banquet event mode is kind of a natural evolution of what's already happening in the standard mode. At least when I hop into the event mode, I am signing up for the fact that I know this is going to be wonky and unbalanced, whereas the standard mode, the 4v1 mode, pretends to be balanced, pretends to be a fair game, and it hasn't been for like 18 months or more. It has been a complete show. It is buggy, it's unbalanced, it's a mess. The actual gameplay flow of Dead by Daylight has been just a mess. There's no other way to put it. It's been a mess for a very, very long time. So realistically, for me personally, I really don't think it's that far from the standard experience to go into the Black Banquet. I'm like, oh, well, the heal is happening still instantly. It's just 4 people now. Oh, they're getting instant speed boosts, but they already do that. It's like, it's not that big of a jump for me, which is still a frightening statement to say because that's more of a poor reflection of 4v1, not an endorsement of the Black Banquet, but that's why fun is subjective, huh? It's really sad because usually I try to highlight some sort of positive, something constructive that I can, harp on, because I don't like to be fully negative. I want to give, like, okay, even if it's like 90% bad and 10% good, I want to highlight the 10% good. I guess with this, it would just be like, well, the Black Banquet's kind of like Art Deco style is cool, I guess, and the promotion for it was neat. But like, other than that, I don't think there's a silver lining to this situation. So I'm not really able to go further than that. This is quite frankly the most needlessly cruel and stubborn that I've seen behavior be in a very, very long time, which is tragic considering the fact that this is the 10th anniversary of the game. This is supposed to be one of the most substantial anniversary events we've ever had, and instead it's kind of a dumpster fire. And here's the haunting thing. This is only the beginning. Don't believe me? Let's read a statement directly from Behavior. We know this may differ from previous events, and while the changes are intended and reflect our vision for future events. And reflect our vision for future events. And reflect our vision for future events. That's right. This isn't just a one-off oopsie. This isn't an accident. It's not a mistake. This is the new standard. This event and all that comes with it, the less cakes, the no BP from event actions, the complete lopsided balance, that's what they want from all future events. This is the future. This is what they want us to go through every year, and not just with anniversary events, but future events in general. This is what they want us to go through quality-wise, event after event after event, for years forward. I'm not trying to be a doomer here, but I genuinely think we're cooked. You might be saying, well, it's fine because the casual audience doesn't care, which is usually a fair point because Behavior loves to wave that over our heads, is that like the silent majority that plays DBD that don't get on social media, don't comment on YouTube videos, they're fine, they're enjoying it. Look, our numbers are great, our profits are fine. And usually that's, it's somewhat of a fair question. It's one that I personally have been having a hard time trying to come to terms with because I'm like, well, everybody who I talk to, Survivor main or Killer main in the general audience, typically isn't having a good time with the game right now. But the silent majority is good. So like, how do we make peace with that? How do we come to an agreement, something that makes both the casual audience and the general audience happy at the same time? But that doesn't really work here. And it's not going to work as an excuse to shove things under the rug, and I'm going to tell you why. Because recently Behavior posted that on Steam, they beat their all-time concurrent player count of 170,000 people, which is pretty cool. Take a guess how many people are on the game right now at time of recording. Clearly, this is going to be a little bit less than that concurrent player count record that they broke because of all the bad stuff that's been happening with the event, right? So it's going to be like 150K, 140K, right? Lower. Oh, okay. Well, it's 130K or like 120K, right? Lower. Wow, that's really bad. That's a lot of lost players. 100K? No. There are 80,000 players on the game right now on Steam. This is usually a busy evening. 80,000 players only on the game right now. That's almost 100,000 drop in players from their all-time peak. Usually it's easy to point and say, well, the silent majority is still liking it, but these numbers don't lie. I really can't emphasize this enough, but you Behavior, you have extremely messed this up. And for some reason, you just kind of don't want to fix it. So to bring us full circle from the intro, I'm not really mad per se, but I really do mean this. I am severely disappointed in you. I am severely, extremely disappointed in you. DBD's last 18 months have been this kind of like downhill slope of just ignoring and ignoring and ignoring and ignoring player feedback. And you've always been able to like kind of like put a pin in it and say like, well, the silent majority is really enjoying it, so it's fine. Look, our numbers are good, so it's fine. But like, you can't say that anymore. The numbers are here. The numbers aren't lying. Even the casual player base is extremely frustrated with your decision making, and you're still doubling down. At this point, it is just stubbornness. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, if like the numbers aren't reading right and you are still making these decisions, what else is that besides just pure stubbornness? And I know that you're better than that. And I really am getting into the dad talk here, but it's how I feel. I've watched the game in that 18-month period degrade from like a health standpoint of like thousands and thousands of bugs, from the game balance getting to a point where it feels like players are just kind of like NPCs in someone else's experience. Like, you don't really have an active impact on the matches that you play. And that's both Survivor and Killer, because if Killer, it's the bad balance, but in Survivor, it's people just quitting and going next and ruining your games if you're not in a 4-stack, and nothing's been done about that either. It's just like, on top of all this, now we can't even enjoy the big events in the year that we look forward to because of this same kind of like stubbornness and neglect that you show for all the other issues that we've been warning you about for so long that you've also ignored. And now to have you blatantly ignore this on top of it, it's just like salt in the wound doesn't even begin to cover it. It is so baffling. You know, I really hope you're right. Like, frankly, I really do hope you're right. I really hope that the silent majority that you love to wave over our heads are happy, because you're wearing through all the goodwill that you have left with us. Any of us who actually have a voice that try to help you, try to make the game healthier, and speak in a way that tries to bring the game to a point where more people, or as many people, can enjoy it as possible, you are running through all that goodwill. You are decimating it, dare I say. I have never believed more in this moment that once the key jingling of big IP drops and skins run thin, that this game is probably just cooked. It's done so. And no, I don't mean, not even the big graphical update that's coming next year will save it. Because if this is how you're going to run the game from this point forward, it's not going to matter. Because a live service game lives and dies by the live service updates that it provides. And if you're going to be constantly at odds and butting heads with your community nonstop in a live service game, eventually they're just going to get tired of it and they're going to leave. Are the content creators going to stay for a really long time? Yeah, absolutely. I'm a DBD content creator. I'm in your program. So I'm going to stick with it for a while. I've already said, even before the DBD Creator Program thing, that I'm going down with this ship. No matter how this game dies, it's going to be fun to watch it go. And I'm going to be there to go down with all of you. Not like that. But if my point being is, like, if the live service changes are going to be at the behest of your players, despite the fact that they're actively literally showing you proof, I'm like, hey, not only is this a bad idea, but we have proof as to you not having the right idea of how things are going, then it's not gonna matter if we get Scooby-Doo, if we get Batman, if we get it. Like, it doesn't matter whoever comes to the game, because here's the scary thing, not for me, but for you at Behavior, I've never ever seen this community more united than they are now. Survivor main, killer main, new player, veteran player. We have never been more unified against you than we are right now. We are all on the same page. Do you know how scary things have to be for every DBD player to be on the same page? Dude, DBD players are like Redditors. They argue like it's a sport. They debate like it's a sport. They just love conflict. So the fact that we're setting everything aside and getting all on the same page because of this is an extreme red flag. It's in your face and you don't see it. And that is alarming. And I'm not exaggerating with what I'm about to say, but I really do think this is a pivotal moment for the game's future. Based on how they handle this situation, this could spell how the rest of the game's lifecycle goes. For those of you that haven't been around in DBD's history, DBD historically has not been the best game when it comes to player feedback. Behavior used to double, triple, even quadruple down on extremely bad decisions and leave dire changes that were needed unaddressed for years. I'm not exaggerating for entertainment. For years, there would be major issues with the game, and they would never touch it, never address it, and even go on live streams of the devs playing the game and very proudly state, no, it's not a problem. You guys remember, if you guys have been here for longer than like 3 or 4 years, you remember that used to be the game. Things would get broken or be bad balance changes would happen, and they would stay that way for years, and they would proudly go, no, that's fine. And that we would just have to deal with it. That version of Dead by Daylight was awful. And I think the general reception of the game being improved year after year after year after year in recent memory has been because they stopped being like that. They stopped being so stubborn. They stopped being so ignorant of the problems in the game and started listening to their community. Sure, they don't do it very well a lot of the time, but they started doing it sure as hell more than they used to. It didn't take years for something to get addressed. It took like 2 or 3 months, which is a huge improvement. And when there was faith that, hey, if something's really bugged or something's really unbalanced, that something actually may happen to it, that way I could continue enjoying the game. I feel like that helped bring people back to the game. It helped people play the game longer instead of quitting. And I feel like that also probably helped secure more licenses to see the game in a better spot and have good community rapport. So I'm telling you, if you're going to go back to being old behavior where you proudly stick your feet in the mud and just don't budge on almost unanimously agreed upon issues, we realistically could be going back to DBD's Dark Ages. And I mean that sincerely with my whole chest. We could be going back to the Dark Ages if this is how they're going to handle things going forward. If that's the direction they're taking things, we're frankly just screwed. And there's no two ways about it. That the game deserves better than that, especially post 10 years. I know this hasn't been the happiest video, but I frankly just don't really know what else to say. I'm extremely disappointed. And I can't even begin to understand why they choose to be this belligerent over something that's supposed to be, for most people, the happiest time of the year for Dead by Daylight. If I could speak transparently, directly to you, if somebody at BHVR finds this video, you know better than to act like this. You just do. Because you've shown it. You've shown the ability to be receptive to your audience, to your players. You're just not right now. You've shown in previous years that you know how to be receptive and to listen to your community. You're just choosing not to. And that's just sad to see. So the best I can ask is I can just plead, please do better. I don't really have anything else. Like, I would do that YouTuber thing where I'm like, comment down below what you think. But I know what you think. You're tired. You're frustrated. You're angry. And rightfully so. And I guess you can still put that down there. I guess you can still just kind of let them have it down in the comments below. But not to be doomer, but frankly, if we've given them this much feedback and the response today is just, it's working as intended and you're exaggerating and you're wrong. Like, I don't know how much that feedback will help. And that's just a really helpless and disappointing place to be in. But you can still try, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Usually I have a much more upbeat and cool outro, but like, I know that's about it. Situation just sucks right now. And I hope they learn from it. That's it. Appreciate you guys. See ya.